currently hold over $1 trillion in credit card debt. I mean, that is just a staggering number. So today, in this explainer, we're going to completely dismantle exactly why that is by examining an everyday habit that, let's be honest, most of us don't give a second thought to. We're taking a magnifying glass to that simple rectangular piece of plastic sitting in your wallet right now. Okay, let's dive into this. My goal here is to radically shift how you view every single transaction you make from here on out. We're going to explore the hidden mechanics behind the modern credit card machine, and more importantly, figure out exactly where you fit into the whole shebang. Now, I want you to picture a completely mundane, everyday scenario. You're standing in line buying groceries. It's a random Tuesday evening, you've got a cart full of overpriced eggs and cereal, and you're just waiting your turn to finally go home. The guy right in front of you steps up to the register, the cashier rings him up, and he swipes his credit card. A few moments later, it's your turn. You step up, they ring up your items, and you swipe your card. But here's the absolute critical detail. You swipe the exact same credit card as the guy before you. Same bank, exact same logo right there on the front. For all intents and purposes, it's the exact same piece of plastic interacting with the exact same machine. Section 1, 10 years later. So, let's fast forward. We're leaving that Tuesday night grocery line far behind and jumping a full decade into the future to see the massive stakes of those seemingly identical repetitive actions. Because over the course of 10 years, those simple everyday swipes, they compound. They build a definitive financial trajectory. On the left, one of you has collected thousands of dollars in free travel, flights to Hawaii, luxury hotel stays, vacations, completely covered by the system. But on the right, the other person owes thousands of dollars in 25% APR interest. They aren't paying for trips. They're paying heavily just for the privilege of having bought those groceries years ago. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark dichotomy here. The exact same card started this journey, yielding completely, radically opposite financial outcomes. Same card, completely different outcome. I really want that to sink in for a second. This vast, staggering difference, it's not an accident. It's definitely not a glitch in the banking matrix. It is exactly how the banks intentionally designed the system to work. You see, the bank fundamentally doesn't care if you use a credit card. The machine itself is completely indifferent to the simple act of swiping. What the bank actually cares about, what this entire multi-billion-dollar system is meticulously engineered around, is how you use it. Your behavior, and literally nothing else dictates the outcome. Section 2, Customer versus Product. We really need to peel back the curtain on the hidden mechanics of banking here and look at this invisible line you cross based entirely on your behavior. It's the line between being a customer and being something else entirely. Because the moment you carry a balance, you stop being the customer. You become the product. So the crucial point is, when you pay off your card, you're utilizing a service provided by the bank. You're their customer. But the absolute second you decide to leave a portion of your bill unpaid at the end of the month, the exact moment you carry that balance forward into the next billing cycle, the dynamic flips completely. You are no longer the one being served. Your debt and the interest it generates becomes the actual product the bank is selling to make its profits. It's a totally paradigm-shifting realization when you think about it. Section 3, Playing or Funding. Every single month, millions and millions of everyday people swipe a credit card. We're all participating in the exact same ecosystem, but users fall into two very distinct categories based on whether they actually understand the rules of the machine. For the vast majority, the reality is pretty harsh. On the left, we see most people swiping because they think they're playing the game, right? They see those flashy commercials with celebrities, they see promises of cash back and points, and they think they're gaming the system. But on the right is the hard truth. They aren't playing it. They are actually funding it. By carrying a balance and paying interest, their hard-earned money is the literal fuel powering the entire rewards ecosystem. The interest they pay is precisely what buys those free flights for someone else. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that out of those millions of people, a small group does something entirely different. A tiny minority of credit card users treats this system with a completely different mindset. They understand that the card is a machine. They know exactly which levers to pull, and maybe more importantly, which levers to never, ever touch. Let's move to and see how this builds, because this small group follows a strict, unbending 4-part formula to win. First, they pay the balance in full. Every single month, 0 exceptions. This stops them from ever crossing that invisible line and becoming the product. Second, because they're already swiping for their daily necessities anyway, they collect the rewards. Third, they keep the points. Those points aren't canceled out by hidden fees or late penalties because, well, they strictly adhere to that first rule. And finally, the absolute most important pillar of their strategy: they avoid the interest. These 4 specific actions stacked together form an impenetrable shield against the bank's profit mechanism. When you execute those 4 steps perfectly, something almost magical happens. Slowly, the money starts flowing in the opposite direction. This massive, highly profitable machine, designed to extract wealth from consumers, is suddenly turned on its head. The bank's system actually begins working to the user's ultimate advantage. The bank pays for their flights, their luxury hotels, their cashback, simply because the user adamantly refused to trigger the mechanism that charges them interest. They have, in essence, completely reversed the flow of capital. Section 4. The final question. As we wrap up this explainer, we arrive at the ultimate takeaway. The issue at hand isn't really about making some moral judgment on banking. The question isn't whether credit cards are inherently good or inherently bad. They're just tools. They are beautifully designed, highly efficient machines. The real issue is purely about understanding the hidden mechanics of your transaction. So I want to leave you with this final unresolved thought to ask yourself the very next time you're standing in that grocery store. Look at the plastic in your hand and ask, when you swipe, who is making money from whom? Are you the customer leveraging a tool to capture rewards? Or have you carried a balance, unknowingly crossing the line to become the product funding someone else's vacation? The choice and the outcome is entirely in your hands. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.